here. We're live to tell the story.
It was crazy.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're going to be sharing with you guys all about Hayden's birth story. And it's definitely different than our other ones.
Totally different.
So we do, if you guys follow us at all or you kind of know our story, we're really passionate about doing natural unmedicated births.
And the first two were that.
Yeah. And
she was a super rock star, doing all the labor pains, getting through it all. No medication, just Mother Nature and Rachel. And babies came out perfect. I was there too. And on the chest and just like, wow, climb that mountain.
Like what you see in magazines and, you know, like the epidural. So this, first off, just to say, like, any way you choose to do birth is amazing because it is a beast of a thing to do and it takes so much of you. So no matter which way you choose to do it, that you are worthy, you're a wonderful mama, mom, healthy baby. That's like our thing.
That's the win. It just didn't go according to plan really at all.
No.
And at the end of the day, healthy mama, healthy baby. That's what matters most. So
and that's
however
what
you choose
said,
to do it, good for you.
And we said going into this, like, our goal is a healthy mom and a healthy baby. And, you know, we choose to do a specific type of birth called the Bradley method. If you want to share what that is.
Yeah, it's husband-coached childbirth. So what's awesome is the mom gets to do what the mom's supposed to do, what Mother Nature does. It's the contractions and it's pushing out the baby. Mm-hmm. Everything else is handled by the dad or the father or the partner.
Right. What's really cool is, like, on that note, I already was crying before we even started recording, by the way.
I haven't cried yet, but I might.
Oh my gosh. Just because this is an intense story to share with you guys. But what's really cool about the Bradley method from my perspective is, you know, there's so many unknowns with birth, and I'm like a control person, so I like to control everything. Shocking. And with the Bradley method, like, your only job as the mama is from getting from one contraction to the next. And we had like really beautiful birth affirmations, which I'll share with you guys at the end. And, you know, we just had, mindset is really where this comes down to, like, can you do it? Can you not? Like, yes, you absolutely can. You were made to do this. You're made to give birth. And so for me, I always like, it sounds weird to say, but I looked forward to the contraction because I knew it was getting like intense. And then it peaked. And as soon as it peaked, I would get my break. And I also would get a sip of water. Please, sir, can I have some water?
One of my duties. Yeah, so I get her to where she needs to be on time. So it's my job to follow the contractions and to know when it's getting closer and when we need to head to the hospital. Mm-hmm. In between every contraction, I give her water and say affirmations to let her know she's in the right place, doing the right thing, mm-hmm. Bringing her closer to the baby. Deal with all the medical professionals. Oh, right. Sometimes they want things different than what we want, and it's my job to make sure that our desired birth plan goes according to plan as much as possible, as much as realistic.
Yeah, and so, like, you know, I don't know if anyone's ever watched the different birth videos out there, but hospitals do have an agenda, and they like to make money, and so it's really easy to just, like, say, oh, you want to meet your baby today? And be like, epidural, Pitocin, C-section, like, you know, and so we've heard all the things. So we decided ahead of time that we wanted to really focus on the natural birthing program. So we did it twice successfully. And our plan was to do it a third time successfully. And I even told him, like, I'm so excited to be able to, like, high five in the recovery room.
Yeah,
and
third natural unmedicated birth. High five. We visualized it. We planned on it.
We really did.
And it didn't happen.
It changed. So let's share our story.
Okay.
So it started New Year's Eve. Mind you, Harrison, our first son, was born
New Year's Day.
And
first
1 year ago.
Baby born in that hospital at 9:30 a.m.
Yeah.
We won the prize.
Yeah, we did.
And so then this one, we didn't know he was due January 14th. Right. Hayden was.
Yep.
And the 31st, he starts kicking and wanting to come out.
Yeah, so I got my membrane stripped that morning. And my body's very sensitive to membrane stripping, we have learned. So I got my membrane stripped that morning, and probably around like 10 o'clock or so, New Year's Eve, I started to feel contractions, and they were getting stronger. And so we had talked ahead of time. So the hospital we like to give birth at, it's called Sutter Davis. And it's awesome. Like, yeah, really great place. And they're like 55 minutes-ish from our house.
Yeah, almost an hour.
And my fear is like giving birth in a car. So I was like, so we talked ahead of time because, you know, Harrison came so quickly last time. We were like, okay, let's get a hotel. So we pack up, we go to the hotel. Ryan booked it ahead of time for us.
Had you been checked at that point in time?
No, we just went to the
Okay,
hotel.
we just knew contractions were gaining or increasing in intensity and frequency. They were about 5 minutes apart, lasting like 20 or 30 seconds. We're like, let's go labor in a hotel room that's right next to the hospital. So that's what we did.
And we get to the first hotel, and we get to the parking lot, and it's like a ghost
It's
town.
really dark. It's confusing. So I go inside, and they're like, hi, yeah, we have a reservation, and we need to let you know that the power is out everywhere except for the common areas. They have a generator.
And I'm like in the
there's
car
no power in the room.
contracting.
They're like, do you still want your room? I was like, no, it's not going to work for us.
So we text our midwife, we're going to a different hotel. Get to the hotel. This one smells like mildew. Bummer.
Yeah. Popular brand too. I was like, this will be good.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't.
Not so good. So we get there, and I'm having contractions, and our midwife comes and meets us there, and she checks me, and I was like, was I 4 centimeters or 5 centimeters? I think it was 5 centimeters,
5.
and I was 80% effaced. And so we're like, okay, it's working. And the contractions were happening, but they weren't like so crazy. I could still talk and make jokes. And if I can make jokes, it's not that serious.
That means baby's not coming really soon.
Right. Like if I want to make a post on social media, baby's not coming.
If she's worried how her hair looks, baby's not coming soon.
So contractions started to get more serious. And then like he was trying to be like funny, and I was like, stop doing that. Like, I don't want you to be funny anymore.
Yeah.
And then...
But that's a sign that it's getting closer.
Totally.
Starting to
we're
go
doing
into
all
a
the labor
trance.
positions, like sat on the toilet, like backwards. We did like he calls it Captain Morgan's pose, where you live like one leg up. Is it asymmetry? Is that
Yeah, you're supposed to open the hips, and it's asymmetrical for the hips. It like applies baby's head pressure inside mama, and usually gets things going faster.
So
walking up and down stairs and stuff.
And then things slow down. And my midwife was like, if you think you can sleep, you should sleep. And it's always so weird to me to like sleep, because I'm like, let's do this. Like, I'm a doer. I'm like,
we're here to have a baby. I don't want to rest.
This is my focus. And we chose to sleep. So we all go to sleep, including her. We pick a room with 2 beds, wake up in the morning, and contractions had slowed, almost stopped. And so she was like, you need some protein. Like, let's go get a good breakfast. So we went to downtown Davis to Bella Brew.
No, Cafe Bernardo.
Oh, Cafe Bernardo. You're right.
Even better.
Got breakfast. And then she said, we're like, should we go nap? Like, what do we do? And she was like, I think you should go for a walk.
It was early. We just had a big meal. So it's time. If we're going to have this baby, let's do it now while we're charged with sleep and food. So we went on a 45-minute walk to a park in Davis, and we were going. I was leading her up and down all these stairs.
You guys, it was
every time she's like, "I don't want to." I was like, "Well,
do you want to meet the baby?"
This is what our job is right now.
So we're going for this walk around the park, and there's like kids playing, and it's like this cute, and I'm just having like serious contractions. Like I think they were like every 40 seconds. No, they were lasting for 40 seconds at that point.
Yeah, 30 seconds and 40 seconds, 45. It started to get close to like. Baby's coming
and
soon.
I don't want to talk anymore.
Yeah, and she's not laughing at any of my jokes, even the good ones.
Yeah. And so like we're and he's having me walk upstairs. So part of like the Bradley method thing is like you walk on like curbs, and you just do different things.
There's things you can do to speed up the process, and things you can do to slow down the process. And in this point in time, we were trying to speed it up. So we were doing
it was
all those
working.
things.
And so I was like, okay. And for some reason, like, this is my 3rd time doing it. I just felt like the contractions were stronger. Like it was just more intense. And which I'm told this happens with subsequent pregnancies. Like the more pregnancies you have, like the more strong it gets.
Your uterus is so strong.
It's so buff. My uterus has a 6-pack for sure. And so, ow, that hurts.
Oh no. Still recovering.
Still off. This is also my first time having hair and makeup done since I had the baby. I'm always like so happy when I can like look like myself, and I'm like, oh, I'm still me.
Back to life.
I know. 3 kids, but still me.
Killing it.
And so we go back to the hotel, and we talk to our midwife, and I'm uncomfortable at this point. And
she's in labor. Everything's going according to plan.
Yeah. And I
talked with the midwife. We're like, how soon until we should head to the hospital? And we thought maybe another hour of this would be a good time to go. And then 45 minutes later, it had increased more, and we're like, let's go.
Because all I wanted to do was get to the hospital and get into a tub, because one thing we love about Sutter Davis is they have birthing tubs. And
it helps with pain management. The warm water and the floating, and just like you can kind of relax. She sleeps in between contractions.
With Henry, I was literally 10 centimeters, and I would fall asleep in between contractions. Like, so crazy.
And I just get to massage her in the water, and we have like aromatherapy oils and stuff.
It's like worship
experience.
Music playing and candles, and it's just like a super cool vibe for birth. And so we get to the hospital, and Ryan's always really good about like, okay, we're gonna have one more contraction, like at the car, and then walk, because contractions when you're walking
It's hard
sucks.
to walk while you're having an intense contraction. So I'm told.
And so, stop being funny.
Hey, I'm sorry.
And sorry, it hurts to laugh at you guys.
Well, earlier you made fun of that I wasn't funny.
So
now
funny.
you're proving that sometimes.
So we get to the hospital, check in. They say they check you to see how far along you are, to see if like you're actually in labor, because some people are like, oh my god, it hurts, and they're like not dilated at all.
I love how dissimilar our energy is with like the security guard's energy at the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
Like we walk in and we had to stop, and I'm holding her while she's having a contraction, and we're like, baby's coming soon, like this is it, like we're in emergency go mode, right? And we get there, and this random security guard is like, hi, making silly jokes. I'm like, I need your IDs. And
I'm like, can you just
this,
piss off?
our energy
listen?
is intense and crazy right now, and you're just like somewhere different.
Yeah.
So we do the IDs, and we're like, get away from that. Let's get some nurses who understand what's going on.
So we go into the room, and they check me, and at this point, I think I was like 6 centimeters or 7, 6.
You know, it's a little blurry for me, but yeah, that sounds about right.
So to Davis, you have to be 6 centimeters to be able to get into a tub. And so they said, we'll fill the birthing tub. Well, it takes 20 minutes, which in contraction years feels like 5 hours.
Minutes.
Like took forever to fill the tub. And I'm contracting, and they're like, you know, you're doing great. Everything's looking good. Then
you were doing great.
Thank you. And then we get into the tub, and I'm laboring in there, and it just got so intense, you guys. Like, it was so strong, and I just felt like serious pressure, and I felt like things were happening. Like, I'm like, this is really good. And one of the midwives at the hospital whispers, and she says, if you want me to break your water, we can make this go faster. And like, one of the things you're like in Bradley method, like they don't encourage that, but I just felt like
a lot of times the less interventions, and interventions is anything that you can do that's not natural, I guess, the better. So,
right.
So you don't want to take it in your own hands. You want nature to do it for you. And 95% of the time, that's the best course of action.
Right.
But sometimes things go wrong, and you absolutely need the medical interventions available to us.
So I look at Ryan, and I'm like, you know, are you good if I do this? And he was like, yeah, like that's okay. And so the water breaks, and I just feel this immediate release of like pressure, and it feels so good. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I needed that. And I was like in a trance. Like I was so deep in labor, like I couldn't talk. I was like just in it. And then all of a sudden I kind of came back, and I was like,
transition. There's 2 parts of labor, the beginning part, all the way up, and then it's called transition. And it's before you start pushing. Once you're 10 centimeters fully effaced, then it's the push time. And that's like phase 2, if you will.
Yeah.
And in between phase 1 and 2, there's a transition. Sometimes it lasts seconds, or like not at all. And sometimes it can last hours. So she comes to out of the trance. She's
and
like,
I'm like chatting with
laughing
them.
at jokes, saying hi to people, doing so. I'm like, okay, we're in transition.
Like it's coming.
It's about to get real.
So then I start to feel like real, like for me, like I can feel when the baby starts to like move down, and that's where I'm like, okay, I'm ready to push. And I got one really good movement, and I felt like I heard like this like guttural sound come out of me, and I was like, oh, I'm about ready. Like I'm about ready to push. And they had checked me, and so she tries to find the baby's heartbeat, and it was weak.
She's pretty good at it. She's been doing it intermittently,
yeah.
Just checking on baby. And this time she goes where it should be and isn't really getting a heartbeat.
And it's really weak.
It's sounding like placenta or maybe mama's heartbeat. It's like half the speed it typically is.
So she was like, can you get out so I can check you? And I said, yeah. And so, mind you, at this point, you guys, I got to 9 centimeters. So I was like so freaking close. I was almost there.
Yeah, 9+.
And then we get out, and she says that she goes to check me, and I'm 9 centimeters, but she could feel the baby's fingers. She thought she saw an elbow. She felt like the inside of the elbow. Like he was like this or something. Yeah, like coming out like this or something. She was real confused. And then she like followed the arm, and she felt fingers. And she's like, this isn't normal. And like you're not supposed to push out a baby when the arm is like this. No. The arm has to be back inside so the head can come out alone. And we had, just for like backstory on this pregnancy, the baby had been breeched twice before this, which breech means it's not head down. And our baby had been transverse, which means that he's like sideways. Oh, I wanted to.
Head's supposed to be down. Our baby was head and bottom, sideways. Just laying on his back, just like chilling, like on a lounge chair.
Yeah. And so so we're sitting there, and the doctor, like extra people start coming into the room, and the midwife who'd been working with us was like, hey, I need to call the doctor in. She goes, so this is the plan. I'm going to have this doctor come in, and she's like, she is going to physically put her hand in your uterus and try to turn the baby. And they're like,
push the head all the way in with enough space to move the arm out of the way and then have it come back down. Now, this was the best case scenario as a potential opportunity for us to continue with natural birth.
Right. And she was like, I'm not going to lie to you. This is going to be unbelievably painful. Like, she's going to stick her whole hand in your uterus.
She said it's going to be like childbirth.
Right. And she goes, but don't worry, she has really little hands. So we're just kind of waiting. And the doctor comes in. The first thing I do, I don't look at her face. I look at her hands, and I'm like, they're not that little.
As little as I was hoping.
And so she comes in, and she's like, okay, well, before I check you, I want to do a ultrasound.
Yeah, to make sure we can see exactly where baby is so that she knows how to maneuver inside.
Mm-hmm. And so they do the ultrasound, and the baby totally flipped.
There's no head in there, and the baby was sideways, transverse again.
Yeah. So he was transverse, and so she says,
like, shoot, okay, what are our options
yeah,
here?
like, what can we do? And she says the only option is a C-section. And like, we were prepared as it could have been an option when he was transverse or breech or whatever. And we like even had a when he flipped the second time, we had
an appointment for a version
to flip where they do it from the outside of your body.
Called an external cephalic version. And outside the mommy's tummy, they put pressure and like feel the baby and physically move baby to a head down position so that you can come out naturally.
But we went to do that. Water broke.
Well, wait, no, we went to do that
the first time.
And they check with the ultrasound to make sure so they know how to move baby. He's head down.
He flipped again.
We were told he was breech,
like, are you
so we went to have a version.
Like, what are you doing?
And then he's head down. We're like, best case scenario.
So cut back to the hospital. The doctor says your only option is a C-section, and not just a C-section, but something called a vertical C-section.
It's called a classic C-section, which I guess it was the original way it was done.
So it's, most people just have that little like smile line low. Mine, they have to cut the uterus vertically.
It's a vertical incision on the uterus, and it's longer than most.
Yeah.
And it starts towards the top and goes towards the bottom. Typically, a C-section has a little cut along the bottom of the uterus, just like on the skin, where it's like a little smile under the bikini line. Mm-hmm. It's in the same location for the uterus. But ours, because baby was up high transverse, the incision had to be vertical, big enough to get baby out.
Yeah, and so I'm like trying to understand. I'm like, so are you cutting me like this? So basically, the outside it's cut like this, but then the inside it's cut like this as well. And
the outside scar is 3 times longer than a typical C-section.
Right.
And this type of C-section only happens 0.3% of the time.
Right. It's very rare.
We are special.
So it's a lot of information at the time, and I'm like, I was prepared. Originally I was prepared it could be, and I just kept saying like, healthy mom, healthy baby, and then I'm very overwhelmed because it's just like I'd worked so freaking hard to get to 9 centimeters, and we were so close.
So close. If he was head down, it would have been less than an hour, is my guess.
Yeah.
And baby would have been on her chest, crying and so happy. All the oxytocin and high fives and kisses and snuggles.
So, our midwife. This is like my best part of that day, honestly. Before the end.
And mine too.
Was our midwife was like, everybody was like, well, we need 15 minutes to like prep the OR, and everyone's kind of in our room, and she's like, can everyone leave? Can everyone just like leave?
Can we give the room to Ryan and Rachel so they can talk and process?
Yeah. So she does that, and like we just looked at each other, and I just like told them I was really sorry and that I was really sad.
You have nothing to apologize for.
Right.
You've been performing perfectly. You've done everything right. This is out of our control.
Yeah. And it was just like,
no, I
was more sorry that like, I don't know, because we learned later that if your baby's transverse, and I guess I had like extra fluid. I had a lot of extra. Everyone kept saying I had a lot of fluid in me, like my amniotic sac. That it was easier for the baby to keep flipping. But I guess like you shouldn't ever go in a tub for buoyancy or something. Like
we learned this afterwards. It can encourage baby to flip. They call it an unstable lie when baby's head doesn't stay down, it just like moves around. And so he moved around so many times. We were not supposed to go in the tub, I guess. We found out after.
Right. So I'm just like, ugh, it was just really hard, but it was also like, we just like held each other and cried and like just said like, okay, like, you know, our goal was a healthy baby and me to be healthy. So we have to do what we have to do.
And the intervention of popping the amniotic sac could have led to baby changing positions and the arm coming out and whatever.
We don't know. We'll never know.
We won't know.
They're like,
for sure.
he could have flipped no matter what you did. Like,
but hindsight, we would have not gotten in the tub and not broken the water.
Yeah. So, but that is what that is. So then they take us in. Oh, so then they're like, we're going to, so they told me they're going to give me a spinal tap. And so I went from like fully natural birth, nothing, to like all the drugs with and it just is what it is, right? Because like, I don't want to feel this craziness.
3 types of antibiotics.
Yeah. And so they tell us that, you know, Ryan has to be out of the room when I get the spinal tap. And he's like, okay, I hear you. And what do I need to do to be in the room?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I've been doing this for 24 years. The anesthesiologist, he's like,
no one's ever in the room when I put it in. I was like, okay, I'd like to be there.
he's like,
and
so what do I need to do?
Well, that's not standard. That's what I was like. Yeah, I'd like to be there. So whatever needs to happen so I can be with my wife would be awesome. Let me know.
And so one of the midwife vouched for us, and she was in there when we were doing.
He basically said he can't be responsible for me, and like fathers could potentially pass out or like get hurt. I don't know. And I was like, well, I'm good with stuff like this, and like you don't have to worry about me. And then one of the nurses said, I'll be there with him just in case. Yeah.
He had to like sit there like a school child, like not say anything.
So I'm the first person in 24 years that got to watch the spinal tap go in and be with my wife the whole time.
They sit down, I sit down and they do like 4 pricks in my spine and it's uncomfortable, but I mean, whatever. And
I think 3 were Novocaine and then 1 was the spinal tap into the spinal column.
Yeah, I don't know. And
I was there.
I was behind him, in front of him. So then they lay me down and they're like doing their C-section thing. And I'm like, I don't know what they've done so far because I start to go numb. So you're basically numb from like your top of your belly button down. Like I could still feel like my chest, but everything else under that was like totally numb. And Ryan's standing next to me watching it. And I was like, have they started? Like, can you, and they're like, do you feel this? And I guess they're touching me and I don't feel it. And so then I'm just there doing the C-section.
So they've had her so open. Everything is like open for a while. And she goes, have they started yet?
And he goes, yeah, they're doing something. Mm-hmm. And I can't feel anything. And he seems calm and everybody else is calm. And so I'm like, I mean, I'm also on like a crap ton of drugs at this point. So I'm like, I don't really know what's supposed to be happening. We had our cry in the room. And so I've just accepted that this needs to happen.
That cry was awesome. Thanks again to our midwife for suggesting it.
It was like the release we needed.
I didn't think of that. I wish I had, but I'm so glad it happened. Everyone got out of the room and we just got to connect.
Yeah.
We were like this with our heads, crying, kissing. And it just helped us process it and then like reaffirm that we're in this together.
Yeah.
And accept that we're being thrown a curveball and we're going to adapt.
So we're in the C-section. So this is like there's like parts to like, and people talk about like birth trauma and stuff, which I feel like I have heard about it, but I didn't really know like what it looked like. Like I think there's phases to birth trauma where it's like you have a plan you think is going to happen and then it changes. But then there's also things that you can't foresee coming and you don't know that you couldn't have anticipated. And with my other 2 babies, when they came out, they were placed on my chest and I didn't like fully process the fact that like when he came out,
he might not.
I didn't think he might not because I even showed Ryan a picture of one of my girlfriends that got a C-section before with the baby on her chest. And I was like, I want to do this. Like this is our next. That was
the goal.
Yeah.
That's what they wanted to do.
And when he came out, they showed me him for 4 seconds.
They lifted him up over the drape.
And he was cut. They cut the umbilical cord.
He's like.
But like, I didn't know. I mean, I didn't think that they were going to cut the umbilical cord. Like, I didn't process that. And I was like really jarred from the fact that like my baby's about to push out and this one was like taken out, like just taken from me. And then he went over to the warmer and I'm like waiting for the cry. And then the cry doesn't come. And I'm like, is he okay? Like, what's going on over there? And Ryan's at the warmer.
So when babies are born vaginally, they get squeezed very strongly. And it takes all of the fluid out of the lungs and the sinuses ears and stuff, and it squeezes it out. So when they come out, it's ready for air and ready for crying and breathing and all that good stuff. Well, when they're taken out C-section style, they don't get the squeeze, and so their lungs are filled with fluid, and it makes it harder to breathe. And so he's laying in the warmer, and purple and blue, and not crying, and breathing, but labored. Like his stomach and his rib muscles and his chest and diaphragm, they're all just like kind of going crazy, trying to get oxygen because he's not connected to the umbilical cord anymore.
And I'm like, what is going on? Tell me what's going on. Like, I don't hear him crying.
The nurses are stimulating him, trying to suck fluid out of his mouth. He can't get to the lungs, so his mouth and his nose. And it seems to be helping some, but he's not getting pink yet. And they're yelling out APGAR scores, which I think you want 8 or above to be like good, healthy baby. And he's got a 3. Ooh. And then at some amount of time later, they did another one. It was 7, so closer, but not there yet. So the room is concerned, and they wheel baby to the NICU, and my job was to stay with baby.
Mm-hmm. Which that's like what I would have wanted. He was feeling really torn because he was like, do I go with her? Do I go with him? Like,
that was the hardest part for me.
So we're like separated. So he takes the baby, which I wanted him to, but then I'm like laying on this table, and my surgery is supposed to take 30 minutes. And time just keeps going, and I'm like looking at the clock, and everyone starts whispering in like a corner, and I had like some issues with low platelets like during the pregnancy, and I don't know what I was saying.
They're trying to stitch her back up.
Oh yeah, and they couldn't.
Each layer of stitching, they have to make sure that it's sealed and not bleeding, not oozing anymore, because you don't want to leak. And then you do the next layer of suturing her up, and there's a leak underneath. That could be real bad.
And I just couldn't. They couldn't stop my bleeding.
Every layer of sewing up was oozing. They couldn't get it to stop because her platelet counts were low. So they called in an emergency plasma transfusion
from Woodland.
But I guess the hospital didn't have any, and so
it
had to come in from.
So I'm just waiting there, like
10 miles away,
open on this table, like
someone's driving plasma, following the speed limit. I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing to think about.
And I'm just like laying there, like open on the table, like, is my baby okay? Like, I don't even care about me. I'm just like, I need to know if my baby's okay. So I'm like waiting for my whatever to get stitched up, just open on a table for like 2 hours. And I'm like, I need to know if my baby's okay. So a nurse is going to like check with Ryan in the NICU. Is the baby okay? And Ryan's at the NICU asking, is my wife okay? And they just did this freaking dance for so long.
In the operating room, I had no idea that her platelets were low enough that it was going to ooze and she was going to need plasma, and how long it would take to sew her back up. I didn't know that. But I did know that the type of C-section that she had to do was rare. And I could see on the doctor and the assistants that they were struggling. They were having a tough time, and they're using these crazy metal instruments, like yanking her parts open and spreading the uterus, and they were having a really hard time getting baby out.
Yeah, they said they had to like somersault him out.
Do something tricky and like somersault him out.
And we thought he had a dislocated shoulder because he was like wincing in pain and stuff, and it was just like,
because the uterus is a muscle, all it can really do is squeeze, and when it feels a slice or a poke or a prod, its defense is to squeeze. So baby's in there transverse, and there's an incision this way, and the uterus is just like, I'm not letting go of this baby, because it's its job. But the doctors have to wrestle with this very strong muscle. Sounds crazy, and I can only see parts of it. People kept coming over and getting in my way, and then I get a glimpse again. So anyway, that's all happening. They finally pull baby out. We told you about the APGARs and the not breathing well, and so it has to get wheeled out. So I'm stuck leaving Rachel in a serious, concerned environment, which I didn't want to do. But my job was to follow baby who wasn't breathing.
It
was so hard.
It's hard.
It's like,
and it's like weird because it's like I'm like, I'm either going to make it or I'm going to bleed out. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, but like, I need my baby to be okay. And it's just so weird because like, I don't know, becoming a parent just like changes you. Like everything's just different. And
it makes your heart grow in size 3 times.
Yeah. Not 4. He won't let me have another baby.
Like the Grinch. No more babies.
No more babies. And so
this puts an exciting punctuation mark on our baby journey.
Yeah. So I'm laying on this operating table, and there's nothing I can do. I'm literally bound to this table. They have me open. I can't do anything. My husband is gone. My baby is gone. And the only thing that I can do is pray. And I found myself just praying over and over and over, just asking God to protect my baby, help him breathe, make him live, that I could make it through, that I could be reunited with my husband. And I feel like it was such like a scary moment, but also like, what are you going to do? Like when you have no control, we think we have so much more control over the world than we actually do. And I knew that like I couldn't control the outcome, but I could control that moment. And so I just chose to pray, and over, I just asked God to like make this situation okay.
And it worked.
But it didn't work or it didn't feel like it was working. But that's where you just have to have faith. So I eventually get stitched up. They get this huge bag of plasma or platelets or whatever the hell it's called.
I guess the plasma has platelets in it.
So they get this huge bag
plasma.
of it. They needed like 4 bags or something. And it's this huge bag of it. And they put it in me. And then I'm able to be closed up and put into recovery. And so I go to recovery and I'm just
and it took 2 hours and 13 minutes. And they had a timer, like it's not supposed to go over 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah, because like bacteria or something. And so we're like, and I just am like, when can I see my baby? When can I talk to my husband? I'm trying to call him, and our midwife meets me in recovery, and she's like, I just want a picture of the baby. Can I see him? And Ryan didn't want to send me a picture of him because he was all hooked up to all these like monitors.
The nurse came and asked him for a picture. So I took a picture, and then I looked at the picture, and there's breathing tubes in his nose. There's sticker things all over his body. He's got stuff on his feet. It's like, I can't send her that picture.
I just wanted to know Rachel he was like alive.
That he's breathing better and doing okay. Like it's
like,
going to be okay.
Give me a damn picture.
Like, give me a picture. I'm like, we'll be there soon.
And then then Ryan comes to see me, and it was like wonderful.
Well, what was happening with baby is he needed a baby CPAP machine. So they put this big sticker across his nose and cheeks that has 2 holes that go right where his tiny little nostrils are. Then they take tubes and they shove them in, and that has pressurized oxygen in it. And it was started out at 30% oxygen, where normal air is 21%. So it's almost a 50% increase for more oxygen into the baby. And his O2 levels went from, 80 something to 100% pretty quickly. Then they turned it down to 21%, so regular air, but still pressurized. And the pressure helps get the fluid out of the lungs. And you could see it like bubbling and coming out of his mouth. And they said he could stay on that for up to 6 hours. And I was like, that's too long. Mommy needs baby on her chest.
Yeah.
So anyway, 2 hours later, and he's breathing well, and the physician in there thought that he didn't need the baby CPAP bubbler machine anymore. So we were able to bring Hayden in to see Rachel.
And I got to meet him. And oh my gosh, you guys, it also was like just happening so slowly, but also so fast that I was like, is this actually real? Like, is this really happening? And, it's just every other birth, we got to push the baby out. And I had the moment where he's on my chest, and this one, he's just like ripped away. And then I don't have him, and I'm laying on this operating table, and that's what I just keep going back to. Like, we're like, I don't know. It's just such a crazy process that I don't know how to process. Like, it happened so different than we thought. And at the end of the day, what we said was healthy mom and healthy baby.
We got that.
And he came, when they brought him in, we cried and we sang him happy birthday. And it was.
We adapted.
Yeah.
Turned out great.
And he's been great ever since. He's a newborn, so we're tired and all of that. But then the other piece to it is like, you're in the hospital room in recovery, and I'm like, oh my God, I just got cut open. Like, I just had a massive, people talk about C-sections.
Oh yeah,
lately,
the word C-section just gets thrown around.
It's the
C-section,
easy way
C-section. It's major abdominal surgery.
They slice you in half, and it's like, and then the one we got, which we'll show you guys a picture of what it looks like. It's a massive, massive surgery. They literally cut you in half, and the one that we have, it's like you're split this way, and so then all of a sudden I'm in recovery with this baby, and I'm like in insane pain, and just like it took us a couple days to really like.
They're like, have some Tylenol and some ibuprofen.
Yeah, and they're like, do you want narcotics? And I was like, no, I don't want narcotics. Like, I don't do drugs. And then I sure opted for them in the middle of the night because I broke. But it's like
Day 2.
It's just so crazy because we love, I have loved birth since I learned like more about it, I loved it. But after I got the C-section, like I couldn't even look at a woman giving natural birth because I felt like so jealous. Like it just got like taken from me. And even though like I've done it twice, like it just, like the way that this happened, and you know, like I truly like this hospital I trust. Like I really don't think that they did what they needed to do. And Ryan even asked the doctor when she came to check on us, he was like, what would have happened? Like, what would have happened back in the day? Like,
if we didn't have the C-section option, if we didn't have that intervention available to us, what would have happened?
And she was like, your baby would have died, and so would your wife.
Well, the baby would have died, and then like high risk of sepsis and infection, and wife may have died too. And so it's like, wow, thank you, C-section. Thank you.
And I will tell you that C-section recovery is no freaking joke. Like, you can't use your abs. Ryan rented a hospital bed for me because I can't sit up. And like, you know, I always feel like when people have a baby, like after I had my first son, Henry, everybody, like you have a baby and it was like, oh my God, congratulations. How's the baby? And you're like,
baby's fine.
Baby's like, babe, thank you. Like you're excited, but you're also like, oh my God, what about the mom? Because the mom just went through a massive ordeal to have a baby. Whatever kind of birth you give, it changes you. It changes your body. You have to heal in some way. You have to recover. And my sister-in-law said it. She was like, I felt like I needed a sympathy card, like after I had the baby. And
it's
I was
not
like,
a congratulations.
It's get
well
like,
soon.
It's like God bless you, because you like, women are freaking warriors. Like what we go through to bring a baby into this world. And I kept talking to Ryan, and I would like send him for like, we're in our bedroom now back at home, and I'm in the hospital bed and he's in our bed and I can't get up, and I'm like texting him from across the room, like processing this birth and these emotions. And like, I've heard about birth trauma. I've heard that people have it, but like it comes in waves where I'm okay. And all of a sudden I go back to this moment of like, they took my baby. He's not breathing. I'm left out on a table. Like, what in the world?
Pretty intense.
Like, so freaking crazy. And then you come home and you have to heal. Like, it's so nuts. And then just to show you guys really quickly, like this is the type of C-section that we had. So what you see here are the 3 kind of most common types of C-sections. And by common, I mean the one we had done is the one on bottom, which, as Ryan said, is 0.03% of the time C-sections happen.
Nope, Ryan said 0.3% of all C-sections are the classic or vertical incision on the uterus C-section.
Math isn't my strong suit, but I make cute babies.
Sure do. So that is our birth story. A little bit different than we planned, but
a little bit different.
At the end of the day, healthy mama, healthy baby, that's what matters the most.
Yeah, I think that, you know, it's going to take a while to like fully process what happened, and I absolutely am going to look into some kind of like trauma therapy, just because I have a hard time like releasing it on my own. And you know, it was a lot to go through and really scary, and just, I don't know, like you grow this person for 9 months in your body and you want them on you. Like I wanted him on my chest when he came out, and I wanted him breathing, and I didn't get either of those things. And that was just like really scary. And then my favorite person has to leave, and like it was really hard and really scary. And at the end of the day, we got our baby, and he's perfect. He's so beautiful. He was born January 1st, 2023. His older brother, was born a year before that, January 1st, 2022. So we have a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and an 11-day-old.
Today,
So we are officially parents of 3 little boys, Henry, Harrison, and Hayden. We're tired.
We chose the H's.
We're tired, but we're more in love than we are tired. And
That's
we have
true.
all these babies. And
that's a cute way to say it.
It is.
Are you tired? Yes, but we're more in love.
And everyone's like, oh my gosh, you're going to try for a girl? I was like, oh, we tried 3 times. Thank you so much.
You know what we forgot to say?
Boy, mom. What?
How the anesthesiologist was talking to you awkwardly while she was open on the table. And your arms are out like you're...
Oh, yeah. You can't move your arms.
Like you're on a crucifix.
They have like a thing so you like can't move your arms in case you want to like try to help. He said, well, some people just might want to like put their hands down there. And I was like, I don't do surgery, sir. So like I'm chilling. You don't need to tie me down.
So while someone's driving the plasma to Rachel in a different hospital, she's just laying there, and I think the awkward anesthesiologist was trying to make small talk to ease her, to like make her more comfortable during the wait. And he's like, so what shows are you watching?
It's
Yes.
Have you seen Ted Lasso? And I'm like, are you serious right now? Like,
We probably said yes. It's a fantastic show.
It's like I don't
And
want
then
to
you're
talk
like,
about a
why are we
TV
talking
show.
about
Like,
shows?
where's my baby?
And he's like, let me tell you why I got into this career. She's like, I don't care.
Give me my dang baby. That's what I'd like you to have, good sir.
He's like, normally these procedures take 30 to 45 minutes. This one's going over 2 hours. So what are we going to do here? Want to play cards?
Oh my God,
Dominoes.
you guys. I can't even tell you. Like, such a journey, such a process. But
We made it.
we made it. We're going to share with you some
You're a rock
pictures
star.
of labor. Thank you. You're the best coach I could ask for. And best daddy. We're going to share with you guys some pictures of our labor and kind of our experience. We have only a couple. And then we're going to share with you afterwards so you can see our little fam bam and everybody connecting. And
You know, really, you just like to overachieve. You wanted to do natural birth all the way up to pushing and then go the C-section route just to give it a try.
I'm going to just do all the birth
We haven't
options.
experienced that yet.
Yay.
Show both of them.
So lucky, so blessed. All right, take a look.
And here we are.
Lee party of
5.
We have Henry. Who's Henry? Are you right here?
Raise your hand.
Raise your hand if you're Henry.
How old are you, Henry?
3 months old.
3 years
Well,
old.
he's right if it's years.
How old are you, Harrison?
Hold up one finger really quickly. 1 finger.
And then we have baby Hayden. He
Hold
is.
up 11 fingers, Hayden.
I'm 11 days old. He doesn't have 11 fingers. We could hold up one toe.
You can have a toe.
So here we are, family of 5, surrounded by love. All the boys in the world. I love you.
I love you too, little baby.